So let's talk about when you have built a beautiful business online and it is remote, but what do you do when the internet goes down? So in today's chit chat, we are going to be talking about something that I am experiencing right now in the moment of figuring out how I am going to get my work done when not just the internet went down in my home, but it went down within a 5 to 7 mile radius in our neighborhood, which means that I would need to gather all of my things, get in the car, and hopefully there are no other outages because it is a particular provider that is out in the whole area. So let's talk about how you can create a foolproof backup plan when you need to work remote from home or anywhere else from the internet. Hey, y'all, let's talk about it. So, no lie, woke up this morning super excited. Your girl got dressed. My husband, bought me like a new little sweatsuit from Sam's Club, my favorite. Ladies, check it out. Matching sets, under $40. And I just knew that I was going to be super productive today. So, the way that I set up wrapping up my quarter, my son went back to school today because he has a different type of schedule. And I said, I'm going to clean up and tidy up and do all the laundry tomorrow because I had all the energy in the world. Probably because I was excited because he was going back to school because he's been off for 6 weeks, to be clear. Okay. So typically I would have been preparing to record content tomorrow, Wednesday. However, God had another plan for me. So got up with my alarm clock, got on the treadmill, pressed play on YouTube to look at some personal development. And it said, your Wi-Fi is out. Now, I thought it was just a TV problem because we've been having problems. So I looked on my cell phone, same thing. YouTube would not buffer. So then I turned off the Wi-Fi and YouTube was fine. My podcast was fine, but it was moving slow. So what do? You log into your internet provider, but you should go into Google and type in, do I have an outage today? And so I did, and it said the entire outage was across my area because you get to put in your address. So let's talk about today some things that I also need to put into place when Wi-Fi is down, because I run about 95% of my business online. The other 5% is infrequent in terms of me going out every quarter and doing workshops in the community and also hosting my own events. And so I'm going to be looking at my notepad because I had no choice but to use my phone today because I cannot use the internet on my laptop where I have all of my notes. And so I had to just write this out. So first things first is have a backup internet plan. And it may sound crazy because most of people would say, oh, I'll just go to Starbucks. But what happens when you go to the Starbucks and they have the same internet provider? For myself, I can actually go to Starbucks. I can go to also the community center in the townhome community that I live in. However, when I went there this morning, their internet was also down. And so I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do here? And so these are things that you want to make sure that you have access to and that you do not use up all of your minutes. One is a hotspot from your phone. Now, of course, with hotspot, there are particular things that you are unable to do just because of the speed that you may need. So keep that in mind. Also, you may have a tablet with data. So maybe you have an iPad and you pay extra money for that tablet or maybe your kid's tablet. So if your kid is in school, can you add the internet? Let's just say if the internet is not on their iPad, I know it's not on my kids because I don't want them to look at particular things. But for that particular day, I will for sure take his iPad if it had extra data and I would do my work from there if I could. Also, clearly going into your car, driving somewhere, and making sure that other places have Wi-Fi. But again, as I mentioned, you do want to pay attention to the service area in which you live. I live 40 miles east of Los Angeles, which means that it is a lot of mountains. It also means that even though these houses have been up for a long time, it doesn't mean that there are a large amount of good internet providers that go fast, meaning I can stream, I can, use Riverside as my app to go and record my podcast without it buffering multiple times. And so right now, for example, I'm actually recording on my Osmo Pocket 2, not my 3. That's another story. But I have my little handy dandy microphone right here. And I could have also recorded on my phone. That's a backup, of course, because you can do a lot of things on your phone. But most cell phone providers, they are strong enough to have FaceTime calls if you have good service, Zoom calls, and more. So, prime example, me and my team member were scheduled to have a Zoom call. Now, this could not be more like just interesting timing. She just moved back to Southern California from another state. She was gone for like up to 2 years. So, where she lives at, the internet is not as fast. Where I am at, I don't have any Wi Fi right now. So, we're both struggling trying to have a team meeting on Zoom. Real life. So I thought to myself, you know what? Let's just FaceTime. We'll be a little blurry. But at the end of the day, it's just me and her talking about this masterclass and current statuses of our clients and updates and things like that. So our meeting may not be able to be a full meeting experience as we had planned because I cannot get on the internet to do a couple of things that I would like to show her, like screen sharing and such. But we have Loom, a screen recorder, LOOM, that I can do later when I get on the internet. And we also have Slack where we can use voice notes to go back and forth. But there are still a lot of things that I can do on my phone. So again, make sure that you pay attention to a backup plan and that it is available if you need it. All right, next thing is you clearly have to know where are all of your go-to locations. And so some examples are a quiet, if you need to have a call, coffee shop, or at least they have Wi-Fi outside of the coffee shop. Maybe a local library. Now, some libraries these days do not even open until the evening, I found out. A co-working space, again, you have to have access to that. But if you did not have access, do they have a day pass and how much is it? As a matter of fact, does it have a trial? Maybe you just need to meet in your car. So prime example, I could have recorded this in my car. I could have set up my phone. I have another external DJI microphone, and some of you may have seen some of my car chit chats on digital products and launches and case studies because I'm driving to a location, I stop, I have time. So I'm like, ooh, let's just do a 20-minute car chit chat before I go into this jail and work with these kids in this correctional facility. And those videos actually do really well, I think, because people are also tired in this era of just being sterile in an office. Hence, I'm in my living room, a different type of setup. Okay. So know where your go-to areas are, put them in your phone so that you're not trying to figure it out to work and be as best productive as you can. Next is you do want to think about what is your client communication. So for example, if you know you're going to be on Zoom, I know for us, we communicate with our clients via email. And for our scale and mastermind clients, they have Telegram groups and some of them have individual threads. Now, the beauty part about Telegram is that I don't need Wi-Fi. I just need my cellular data Wi-Fi. And so I can easily turn off my Wi-Fi in my home or walk to the park. I can send them voice notes. I can let them know, hey, there's an outage. I was supposed to meet with you in 15 minutes. I'm going to be a little behind, but you do want to set up a way to communicate with your clients or even have a team member you delegate it and they reach out to the client to let them know that you're going to be running late or you need to reschedule. So think about, but don't go out and buy this, utilizing your text message system or having it as a backup to use. Also, a simple phone call. Do you have your clients' phone numbers? I know a lot of times we rely on communicating with prospective clients via the DMs, social media, via email. And for the most part, you can actually bring up your email provider, your CRM, like ActiveCampaign, Kit, MailChimp, and some of them even have apps. You can pull it up on your phone. So like I said, there's a lot of things that you can do from your phone that probably you don't prefer to do, but you could do. And you do want to have people's phone number as a backup so that you can call them just in case whatever you're trying to do, they're unreachable. And then also have, like I mentioned, backup email access on your phone. And you want to make sure that your clients' contact information is in a place where it is accessible. And so if you're a service provider, you may have systems, you may have EHRs. If you're a digital product creator, you may have CRMs or your places where their courses are held. The question is, do you ever back up your data? That is a Good question that we actually need to talk about in our team meetings in terms of when was the last time we downloaded the data. Now, I know that we are recent because we just recently updated our email system and it has all of our clients' information. But this is something that maybe you want to put on your calendar to do every 90 days is export at least contact information just in case even there's an emergency and someone else needs to reach out to your customers or your clients. Okay. All right, next is be ready to switch how you're going to connect with your customers, clients, or if you're hosting what I do, a class. And so, real life situation, back in either 2020 or 2021, I started to experiment with YouTube live stream. I had also done Facebook live streams for multi-day boot camps at that time. So, because I had done one boot camp, just one YouTube live stream, I at least knew how to set it up. I was sending emails through my email marketing system, Kit, formerly known as ConvertKit, at least 2 times a week. So that was very, normal for me. And so I'm explaining all of this because on the day that I logged in to live stream, my Wi-Fi was on, but Facebook was down. Instagram was down. And when I say down, you can't do anything. You can't instant message, but thank goodness I had email marketing. So let me just plug this in. I hope that you're starting to see a trend of how important it is if you have a service-based or digital product business to have some type of customer relationship management system that has data in which you will not be relying on social media platforms to reach out to people, especially if you have a group of people that you're meeting with. So what I was able to do within less than 10 minutes, created a thumbnail really quickly, but I didn't even have to do that. I just did it for brand aesthetics because I have Canva templates. I went on the live streaming platform that was connected to YouTube at the time, created a live stream in less than 2 minutes, created a simple email and said, hey, not sure if you realize, but Facebook is down. If you've been trying to log in, you've been trying to figure out what was going on. So click this button and come to the live stream. We meet in 10 minutes. I was able to get at least 80% of people to open up the email. And let's just say out of 80%, 60% of people actually still came to the first day of the boot camp. Well, unfortunately, I didn't want to take any chances for the rest of the week because at that time it was a 5-day boot camp. So what I did is I emailed them again and said, listen, we're not about to play around with Facebook. We're not about to play around with these social media platforms going down. We're just going to go on YouTube live stream. Here's the link for every day of the boot camp. Click here. This is where we're meeting. Guess what? For 5 years straight, I no longer hosted my live streams at Facebook. Why? Because I don't like relying on a system that has the capacity to shut down a part of my business. Okay. And email marketing is very important. So if you want to check out the email marketing system that we use, make sure to check out Kit. You can get a free trial. And I believe that they also have a free level that you can have up to maybe even 1,000 subscribers. And you can at least have something where you can send email blast out to multiple people. They can opt into something that you give them a value in exchange, like a checklist. And then you can send an email or two a week to give more value to your audience. And then if you do have a product to sell, then you can email them as well. The conversion rate for email marketing is a lot higher than social media and any other platform because you have the ability to follow up. So check out Kit. Okay, so in addition to being able to prepare to switch, whether it be from internet to phone or from different types of platforms, let's just say, as I mentioned, from Zoom to phone, or if it's a team meeting, maybe you use Slack and you use voice notes back and forth, or maybe you get everybody on a FaceTime. The next thing you do want to consider is privacy. Now, of course, there are levels to privacy depending on what you are doing on the internet. Now, what I would recommend is that you have a VPN. For years, I've used ExpressVPN. I actually started using a VPN, which pretty much scrambles up your IP address so people can't hack into your system. Because at one point I was traveling almost every other month for either my live event or I was part of masterminds going to other events. And so I realized that because I'm sitting in a public area in a lobby or Delta Lounge kind of thing, I don't want anybody to have access to the things that I'm doing. Now, I'm still precautious. I don't check like my bank balances and things like that from like a wide range internet. But if you do need to do anything in which you want to protect your information on your laptop or your tablets or your phone, you can actually purchase a VPN. Now, I use ExpressVPN. I'll make sure to provide the link below. It is a annual subscription. I believe it is less than maybe even $100. Don't quote me on that, but check. But it's very affordable and it's worth your privacy, especially if, let's just say, you need to go to a local coffee shop. You maybe need to have, I've done it, a consultation for a new client, but the internet went down where I'm at, so I have to find a Starbucks. I sat outside. I also had my soundproof headphones that I got on Amazon. I'll link them below for $30, but you can use any headphones or AirPods. Ideally, though, I like for sound to be drowned out in the background. So you can turn on the VPN and protect your information and the people around you. Now, one thing to keep in mind as well, if you are actually seeing clients, you want to make it very aware that you're not in your regular space. Even if they can see it, you want to say it and ask them about their comfort level. Now, of course, you don't want to sit in a place where ideally people are walking behind you. You want to sit in a corner where you don't even have to feel like if somebody walks behind, you have to minimize your screen because especially as being a psychologist, if I ever was in the position where I needed to do some type of mental health something, ideally never in public, but worst case scenario, if something happened, right? Go to a place that has as much privacy as possible. And if that does not feel comfortable, follow your intuition and just reschedule the session. Things happen, but have a privacy plan in place and have a VPN in place for all of your gadgets. Now, I did mention this one before, but I'm going to just heighten it. You want to have access to your customers or clients' information, of course, that you are meeting with on an ongoing basis in an offline document or place. Now, these days, if you do use platforms like G Suite, Google, then you have the ability to go to the settings and you can click on a button that says make available offline. So, for example, when I would go to live events for my coaches' events, if you've ever been to a venue, when you're in the hotel area, let's just say if you have a hotel room there, the Wi-Fi might be free. You put in your room number, you're fine. You go down the elevator or escalator, you go into the venue space and you realize that you no longer have access to the internet. You may question, well, I'm staying here. That conference room, that venue space has a different rule in place, which means that your Wi-Fi that worked up top, even if you're staying at the hotel, does not work in the venue space. I put on plenty of events. And even when my clients have vendor tables, I let them know your space to come to the event is free because they're our mastermind client, for example, and we've had conferences. But if you want to have your PayPal processor in the back of the room and you know that Wi-Fi might be shaky because we're in the basement conference room, type of thing off the escalator, you may want to invest in, it's $40 for 2 days, for example. You may want to invest in buying the venue space Wi-Fi because your Wi-Fi, your hotspot might not work. A lot of my clients took me up on it. Some of them didn't, and they could not get Wi-Fi, which means that they could not make sales. That is a horrible situation. So if somebody is suggesting this to you, I would advise that you listen. And so if you go on to, for example, G Suite, you can actually click a button and then you can work offline. And then once you get online, everything will rectify. And I've done that when I've gone to live events because I like to sometimes type out my notes or have something on my iPad available so that everything can just be in one place versus a whole lot of notepads. And so I will turn a document offline before I enter into the space where there is no Wi-Fi or no access to Wi-Fi unless I pay extra money. And that way, when I leave the event, everything will sync up. I'll click the button and say, make available online now. And then when I get to Wi-Fi, everything will be in place. Now, last thing that I do want to cover is something that we don't want to talk about, which is planning for a long haul of outages. So I'll go back to the example that I mentioned earlier when I was hosting the boot camp. I chose not to take any chances. I took a precaution and I just set up everything for another platform. So, for example, let's just say if my Wi-Fi today comes up at, right now it's 11:09. If it comes up at 12 o'clock, I intentionally am going to look at my calendar for the entire week because I don't know why they had an outage. And I'm going to make sure that I set up everything that I talked about to make sure that, oh, I need that document tomorrow because worst case scenario, I can drive somewhere maybe 20 minutes away and get access to a different service provider in terms of Wi-Fi. I can go to a different Starbucks outside of my area. I can prepare for it. I can look for it tonight. And then I can prepare my laptop. So I can go even on my phone to certain Google Docs. So download these things to your phone. I can go to Google Sheets, Google Docs. I can go somewhere, download the app, but I have it on my phone. I can go to the actual document and I can click make available offline. That way I can type here or I can even go on my iPad. Now I can't do it on my laptop because you need Wi-Fi to get on those apps unless they are already downloaded to your tablet. So what are you hearing me say? As a backup, all of these systems that have desktop apps, some of them may not work with Wi-Fi, but certain documents in Google will. So if you use that for your systems, make sure that you make it available. So with all this said, let me know in the comment box, one, has this ever happened to you? Or am I the only one sitting here with no Wi-Fi, beautifully dressed? At least I'm cute today to make a video. So I did want to take advantage of this. I was able to create some light coming into my home with my little box light back here because the sun has went down. But it sucks because I've done all my productivity things yesterday from my home, thinking that this is going to be my first day back officially in the office because we are kid-free today. And then this happens. And I don't know how long it's going to last. And so let me know if this has ever happened to you. Let me know how you dealt with it. Were you stressed out? Did you have clients that day? And if you have any questions about the systems that I am referring to, make sure that you drop that below. If you like conversations like this, especially around business topics, streams of income topics, especially as a therapist and a service provider related to scaling your business beyond the couch, beyond one-on-one therapy, make sure that you stay tuned because depending on when you are watching this, then you will be able to register for our upcoming masterclass focused on going beyond the one-on-one couch, exploring clinical streams of income that a lot of therapists overlook to expand their existing private practice and start scaling their time so that you are not working all hours of the day just to make ends meet these days, okay? So make sure that you click in the description box, register for the Grow versus Scale Masterclass for therapists to go beyond the couch. And until then, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye.